It looks like I am live. All right. Well, I thought I would go live today on YouTube because I've had some people asking me more questions about the transcription business. And I wanted to give an opportunity for anyone out there to go ahead and ask me any questions that they have. So it looks like no one is here with me at the moment, and that's fine. This will be a replay, so no big deal. But I thought I would take the opportunity of doing it live just in case someone jumps on and they wanted to ask me a question. So, um, the things I want to cover are some of the main questions that people are asking me now that I have a course out there for people to learn to do transcription from home. And one of the main concerns I think people have is how much money they can make and what will it be equivalent to working as an employee. And the major thing about this is that you're comparing a bit of apples to oranges when you are comparing working as a um, sole proprietor as opposed to being an employee. So, when you do transcription from home, first and foremost, you are not considered an employee in most situations. In most situations, you will be considered a subcontractor or a freelancer. And in the United States, anyway, when you're doing your taxes, you're considered a sole proprietor, or you might have an LLC established. And if you're working by yourself, that's still considered under the sole proprietor base the that guideline. So again, when you're working from home as a transcriptionist, it's not quite the equivalent of being an employee. And so you're not going to have the same type of benefits. And those would include things like your employer um, pays into your insurance. They pay into benefits such as disability or family leave. They give you paid time off, like vacation pay, personal days, and so forth. So, all of those things you have to balance out when you're going from looking at what would be an employee to being self employed. Now, being a transcriptionist is not going to, within the first couple of weeks, or I personally ever, you're not going to be making six figures unless you're counting the numbers behind the decimal point. This is not some super highly lucrative business where you're going to be making millions of dollars. It's just not. And that's the honest truth about it. Um, It doesn't look like anyone else has joined in on the conversation yet. But again, the main concern people are having is whether or not they're going to be able to make as much money in their employed job as in the self employment job. And a lot of that is going to come down to how much you're charging, or if you're working for a company as a subcontractor, how much they're paying you, and also how many hours you're going to be working in a day. And that's another big um, difference there between being an employee and being working from home, especially if you have children. When you go to work, you're there. Your children are most likely either in school or in a daycare or with relatives. So your main concentration is just on your job, and that's all that you have to worry about. You're not being constantly interrupted, and you don't have all those other things that are going on when it comes to being at home. And then when you're working at home, and especially if you've decided to work from home to also be home with your children, there's a lot more going on in your home. And so you're going to have to balance your time better, whether you still have the kids at school or they're in preschool, or you have them with family for a time, or maybe you have something set up with other um, stay at home parents where they have the children for a little while and then you have all the children for a little while, some type of a um, some type of an arrangement where you can help each other out. Otherwise, you might depend on your spouse or significant other more to take care of the children while you have a chance to actually get your work done. So it's definitely different in that sense too, where you're going to have to figure out what time slots can you focus on working and how much time in the day can you do that work. So an example might be if you're staying home for work with small children, it may be that you're up before them and you're working for a few hours. You're working while they are possibly at school or in some other type of program. And then you might also have to have time where you're working in the evenings after they've gone to bed. So those are things that you have to work out. So when people ask me again, they ask me often, if I work from home as a transcriptionist, um, can I make the same amount of money as my salary? And that is a really loaded question that's hard to answer. Especially, like I said, if your salary is $100,000 a year, the likelihood you're going to make that amount of money working at home as a transcriptionist is pretty slim to none. But if you are working from home and your salary is, I'm not going to say minimum wage because you can make more than minimum wage as a transcriptionist. But again, if your salary is at a certain rate and then on top of it, you have a ton of benefits, you have to equate the fact that you're not going to have all those benefits as a transcriptionist. So let's say you're making $10 an hour as an employee. That's not going to equate to the same as being on average $10 an hour as a transcriptionist because you're not having all those benefits. So it's a like I said, it's so much of an apples to oranges comparison. You'll have to really sit down and do the math yourself. Um, the other things that you have to think about when you're comparing employment to being at home and working is the fact that, especially when you get towards having your more than one child, when you're putting 2 and 3 children in daycare, those costs are eating out of your employment salary. So then when you're working from home, you're not paying all that extra childcare. You're not paying for childcare. You're not going to pay for as much gas, driving to and from. You might not have to pay for certain types of either clothing or equipment or other things that you would need to pay out of pocket for your job. So there's all these different things that you have to balance out. I go into that in a lot more detail through a video on my website for the course. So that is myofficeowl.com. And if you also go on there, you can find out more about the course, which will teach you all about starting up as a transcriptionist from your home. Now, this course is a little bit different because it's not going to just go through, okay, this is how you sign into Microsoft Word and type something out, and here's your format. This is going to go really soup to nuts. Okay, this is what you need on your computer for as far as software. This is the hardware that you need. You need a foot pedal. Let's talk about that. How do you set it up? You need to keep track of your payments. You need to um, kind of have an understanding of how you're going to get paid. So, whether you are working directly with clients or as a subcontractor, all those things, we're really getting a deep dive into so much more of the nuance of working from home and working from home as a transcriptionist than just telling you how to format a Word document. And again, this course that I've built is not some PDF booklet that you download. This is video tutorials that walk you through each step. So I'm not just telling you where to go buy a foot pedal. I am through a video explaining to you what it is, how to set it up, and how to use it so that you can type faster, as well as the software. And like I said, so many other things that are nuances to working from home, like keeping track of your payments, getting paid, taxes, and insurance. We'll cover some things about what things you have to consider, working with clients, and all these other things that are involved in there. We cover that as well. If you are interested in getting in on the course, I suggest you do so soon. Um, it's still at a really steep discounted price. And on top of that, I'm offering 50% off right now. You can use the coupon code March 2019, and that'll give you an additional 50% off the course. So this course has got so much of my blood, sweat, and tears into it on explaining everything you need to know to do transcription from home. And again, it's already discounted. And then on top of that, right now, I'm giving you another 50% off of the price. So if you go to myofficeowl.com, you'll find out more information. And again, the coupon code is March 2019. There's other videos on there. You can just sign up for the newsletter and it'll give you access to watch all these other tutorials and videos that I do have on there. It's for free. All you need to do is give me your name and email so I can keep you in the loop of other things that are going on. You can always unsubscribe. And then again, like I said, I really highly encourage you, if you're on the fence, get in on the course now. It has a 14-day money back guarantee. So if you do jump in and you just figure it's just not for you, it's not what you thought it was going to be, that's fine. You can just simply ask for a refund and that will happen. And I hope to see you in the course. I hope to see you over at myofficeowl.com. It is time to soar.